And we're back with Brooke and myself on Sunday morning at 11:30, our time to get together for a discussion on some books we've read. The first one we did was Live Your Ultimate Life with Dr. Mao Shing Ni. And the last week or so, we've been beginning on a book called Feng Shui and Health, The Anatomy of a Home by Dr. Nancy Santo Pietro. And she is I think it was New York psychotherapist. And around 1990, she got some illnesses going and she was trying to figure out how to remedy that. And she discovered Feng Shui and began studying with some folks about that. Feng Shui being the placement of things in our environment or in our home and so forth to better enhance our health and well-being. And I was just reading here through some of her introduction. And she said she realized that the concept of environment influencing life and life situation was true. And this came from thousands of year old teachings from China particularly, where one would arrange their environment in their home to better influence their life. So she said she wanted to seriously explore it and add it to her approach as a holistic therapist. Mm-hmm. And then she was noting that when she would spend time with her clients, which is usually about 50 minutes a week in her office, they went back to their normal life where most of their time was spent, of course, and figured that if they would incorporate these principles in their homes and environment, they could possibly improve their well-being as well.
Yeah.
So she started asking her clients to bring their floor plans into the session. And Brooke, we talked about that a little last week because you've been doing this more than I have in a more serious manner.
Yep.
You want to talk about that idea of the floor plans and how that kind of works into this Feng Shui idea?
Okay, well, pretty much what she does, and I guess that's chapter 1, is when she talks about Feng Shui system design. There is something called a bagua, and she specifically does the type of Feng Shui that's called the Black Hat sect. Uses the bagua, which is this picture of how it divides either your property, your house, or a room up into different sections that symbolize your different energies that exist. And action is called a gua. And if you'll excuse me for just 1 second, because I need to go do something for a moment.
All right. I'll chat a bit here. And the psychotherapist, Dr. Santo Pietro, talks about that when she started using with her clients, it seemed to help, and then she started working on it herself at the same time. And she had some sort of a immune system failure. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but she said she picked up a retrovirus that was causing havoc in her body. And so she was trying to find ways to understand what was happening to her. And even with her diagnosis, her medical treatment, and psychotherapy sessions, she was still sick. Oh. And so it forced her to deal with her body's physical needs, but also other aspects of her life that was contributing to her illness. And you're back?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, my children started arguing. Okay, so the bagua, let me see if I can find, there's so many illustrations in here. I feel like we're skipping a little bit, but this will really help. Okay. Here's one picture of the Bagua. This is actually called the Wheel of Life. I don't know if you can see it here.
Right. Okay.
I really like this. I actually just finished this particular activity that she had in here called the Wheel of Life. So there are 9 sections. The center section is actually the 3rd section, which is your health. And that does not change no matter where you place the Bagua on anything, on yourself, on, like I said, your property, your house, or a room. The health center is always in the center of the room. The first gua is your family or past. The second is wealth. Third, I said, is your health, which is right in the center. It actually ends up making this very cool, like, star pattern. Very similar to, I guess, like the Star of David. 4 is helpful people, children / creativity. 6 is knowledge and spirituality. 7 is fame or success. 8 is career, which goes down. And then relationship and intimacy goes up and to the right, which is number 9. And that's what she first starts off when she has you do a floor plan, is first she has you draw it. And she actually said that a lot of times she can see how the person is being affected or how they view the world just by their floor plan. She said one of her clients had she had breast cancer or a tumor in her breast, and her room, she ended up drawing her room to look like a breast. It was like round.
This was before she started doing it or after?
This is after, as she started to consult. She started noticing that each person, she says she wants you to draw your property, she makes you draw your house, and then she makes you draw all the floor plans, and then she makes you draw your bedroom. And being able to just see how you draw it, step back, what's the picture look like, what does the room look like, what places are missing, can be a huge eye-opener for how you are viewing your life at that moment. And she shows you pictures of some of her clients' work. And you're kind of like, wow.
Yeah, the floor plan that they do, is that fairly detailed? It like shows the furniture and plans and so forth, or just kind of a summary of the rooms or something?
Yes, they all show. I was curious too, because I wanted to know, when I did the first one I did was my bedroom, since I don't actually own the house I live in. And I was like, do I put the closet? Does the closet count? Let's see if you guys can see this. So that's a picture of some of the floor plans. And yes, it has the tables and the beds, bathrooms. She even goes into the fact that attics, you have to, take into account attics. Attics become dead space and places that people like to avoid. And where are those attics in the Bagua? Like, are you avoiding intimacy? Are you avoiding wealth? Those kinds of things. And definitely when you start looking at things in that perspective, you can start seeing a broader picture of what's going on in your life.
So let's say a person draws their floor plan and where everything is arranged, then what would she do, or what would we do next after we have that plan?
Okay, so let me find that part. So right after you draw your floor plan, then you would draw or make a copy of the Bagua. And there's very specific directions, which I had to call like 3 of my friends to figure out if I was making sure you have to place the Bagua specifically in the correct way over the room.
You mean as if it's like a map or something? You orient it towards. Okay.
Yeah, so now if you're doing your home, it's very simple. There's you put the first bagua, or actually it would be your career bagua, the one that's at the bottom, on your front door. And then it goes onward. But it gets a little more complicated when you're just doing a room, or where is the front door on your house, or those kinds of things. And here we go. So it says level 1 of your home assessment, placing the bagua over an individual room. So that was the one I did, and why it mattered so much, how I placed it over the floor plan. And it says take the plan of your bedroom or whatever room you're doing and find the wall that runs parallel with the main doorway into the room. And it says label the 4 walls in the room with the 4 compass directions. First, stand in the entrance into your room. Assign the south direction to the wall that runs parallel to the door. Now, I was a little confused by this because to me, parallel means like the opposite. It's 2 lines running, in conjunction with each other, never touching. But no, she actually means the wall that is connected to your door. So the wall that is running alongside your door, you put south, which of course means the wall opposite of your door is north, and then you keep going from there. And this is now assign the east wall to the wall in your room that is the farthest to the right, and the west wall to the wall that's farthest to your left. And finally assign the north wall to the furthest opposite your entranceway. Then take the bagua map and superimpose it over your room plan with the fame areas paralleling the north wall, the career area lining the south wall, and the children area paralleling the east, and the family paralleling the west. The wealth area will always be in the upper left-hand corner of the room, and if you are standing in the entrance facing the room, the relationship area will always be in the upper right-hand corner of the room. So, I mean, it's, you just kind of have to follow the directions and see where it leads you.
Okay, so let me see now if I understand that. Okay, so we have you start out with the bagua chart that's from the book,
Yeah.
and that labels the different areas around that circle. Or is it actually an octagon? I'm just guessing, or with 8 sections and something in the center, or
Yes.
okay. So the bagua chart has these 8 areas and then something in the center. Was the center of the health?
Yes, center is health.
Okay. Okay, so then you enter your front door, and that's considered the south.
Yes.
Along the door is the south, and then across from that would be north and east and west, just like normal. Okay, now, so then you'd put down the chart, and according to the chart, your northwest, for example, wall would be your finance career thing. Is that?
Northwest would actually be your wealth.
Okay, wealth. Okay. And then the northeast would be the family?
Northeast would be relationship and intimacy.
Okay. Now, I'm just guessing here, so correct me if I'm getting off track. So does that mean that in that northeasterly part of your house or room, that should be devoted to things of relationships?
Yes.
And then likewise, the wealth one would be in your northwestern part of the room or the house.
Yes. Yes. And I can, if you want, I can kind of show you how I set up my room. Because what they say is if you want to kind of influence those and you want to resonate that energy, you want to use that space. So a perfect example is, so in my fame section, I put my vanity, which is kind of funny because it's in the closet. But that's my fame section of the room. So here, let's see if I can show you. So here in my closet, I have my vanity or my mirror, and I do my makeup, and I have like all my personal stuff. And it's kind of perfect because it doesn't totally hit my bed. It also shows the doorway, but doesn't like the energy isn't bouncing back and forth, so the mirror isn't exactly in front of the doorway, those kinds of things. I also had a really hard time. I have a, I just forgot the word for it. I have an altar, and usually I'm used to putting my altar on the east wall because we usually pray on the east wall. But this time I put it in my spiritual center because my east wall is nothing but windows. And in Feng Shui, they talk about how windows are either, energy tends to escape or energy kind of comes in and you can't control it as much. So I put my my altar, which is right here, in my spirituality section, and it's supposed to help activate and even magnify those kinds of energies. And that's really what the Bagua is there for, is just to help you understand and place things in the proper way. So if that.
Yeah, okay. Let me ask about that. Now, on the Bagua chart, where is spirituality supposed to be ideally?
Okay, so
On the
the knowledge/spiritual center is in the southwest corner. And that's also where my
Okay.
door is. So my altar is literally next to the door. And that little tiny section
Okay.
of
All right.
I get.
Now I missed something on the east. What was supposed to be on the east where you have windows?
Okay, so like, I don't know if you can see. So it's like these big triangles that create a square. Can you see that?
It didn't come through very well.
It's a pencil. So on the east, there are 3 sections. On the bottom, which is the southeast, is helpful people. In the middle of east, direct east, is children and creativity. And then in the northeast is relationship and intimacy.
Okay, so because you were talking about because you had windows on the east, you modified something, and I kind of lost
I
there.
modified my my spirituality, my altar, because usually I face my altar to the east.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So what you were usually doing wasn't matching up with the Bagua chart said. In other
Yeah,
words, I
exactly.
see. Okay, I got you. Um, what, now again, this is oriented towards your main front door, or is it oriented towards the room door?
This one in particular is only oriented for the bedroom. So this is set up for my bedroom door.
Okay, I got you. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Now it's making sense. So
Mm-hmm.
just getting clear in my mind, you have your chart, which shows those different areas and centers. And if you're working on, for example, your bedroom, you go to your bedroom door, wherever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and along that wall is south, and
Yep.
then you do the other directions. And then you orient your furniture and your different activities to where the chart says is most beneficial. And that's
Yes.
how you came upon the knowledge, spirituality to the south. I can't remember what it was, southeast, I
Yeah,
think.
it's
Yeah,
southwest. Yeah.
southwest. Okay.
Now, of course, if I had done a house bagua, so if my entire house was being sectioned and I wanted to have then I would go to the southwest room that fell under that bagua, and then I could put my altar facing east in that room. But because I don't have quite that amount of space in my room, I had to face it south. I faced my my altar south, which is perfectly fine because it's in a good energy center and it's feeding itself and it's got lots of good energy going, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, is there any sense of what comes first? In other words, you're talking about your room, so you oriented things in the room. Is that in a sense more important than the house itself? So that if you're going to make an adjustment, you'd start with the smallest area like the room as opposed to trying to do it in the house where you didn't have that particular room or something?
Yes, she does talk about how, obviously not all of us have the ability to just build a house from scratch. Um, if I think what you focus on first truly depends on your situation. If you are just getting an apartment and you want to feng shui it, you would actually want to start with the whole floor plan, or a house or whatever. You'd want to actually start with the whole floor plan. However, if you don't have those resources and you just want to focus on one room, the most important room in the house they consider is your bedroom. It's where you spend so much time. It's also where, when you sleep, your energies are, you're kind of exposed to energies, because while you're asleep and all of that, you can't control what's happening to you. So yes,
Yeah.
the room is considered the most important room to start with.
Okay. Now, my particular room, when I enter the door, which would then be the south wall, the west wall is actually right next to the door, but that still would be considered the west, even though it's right to the door. Would that be correct?
Yes, because that's actually how my room is. My
Okay.
door is at the southwest corner, and the door hits the west wall. Is that similar to yours?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So you don't have to think of having the doorway right in the center of a room. It doesn't really matter. It's just
Nope.
that's where it is, and that's where it is. Yeah. Okay.
So then, Doc,
Um,
you walk into your room, direct that section, that triangular section from when you walk from your door to the center of your room, is your knowledge and spiritual center of your bedroom.
okay. Now, when you say the triangles, tell me more about. I'm trying to picture that triangle thing you're mentioning.
So the best way to describe the Bagua, so you have that center circle, which I actually draw as a Tai Chi symbol, the yin yang symbol.
Uh-huh.
And then from that, like geometry, each section, each of the other 8 sections start off a little tiny section from the center and expand outward into a eighth of a section of the square or the rectangle or
Uh-huh.
whatever section it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Now I understand. Okay.
So there's
Yeah.
typically
Right.
3 sections on each of the longer walls.
Yeah. Now, I'm trying to use my uh, geometry sense, which is very little. Now, since I understand the triangle that's kind of going at an angle to that
Or it's a
section,
trapezoid.
trapezoid. Yeah, that's right, because it would be on the bottom.
Yeah.
Now, is that entire area of importance, or only along the wall or near the wall of importance?
The entire area is important. And to be honest, the entire room is important. There's a whole chapter, which we should definitely go over, just like on clutter. If you have your bed situated perfectly and you have it in the right area, and then you just shove everything you don't want to see under the bed, that's still the negative energy that's there. So yes, the entire area matters.
Okay, now what would somebody do, or say they had a very small room, say there's a very, very small bedroom, um, their normal bed, dresser, closet, lamp, or whatever, but it's very cramped.
Yep.
Is there some guidance on what to do in that case, where those little triangles are maybe going to overlap with different stuff because there's so small of an area?
Oh, of course. And she talks about, you have to do with what you have, with the space you have that's given to you. And, obviously we can't follow everything down to the letter. My bed is in the exact opposite place it should be. But it was impossible to put my bed because of the geometry of the room. My bed wouldn't fit there. So yeah, I mean, you do with what you can, and you try to use the best options that you can within the circumstance. And you just go from there. Later, I think it's I don't remember, I think it might be chapter 6, she starts talking about cures. So when you do have a very small room like that, that's when you start really doing some of the more interesting feng shui activity, to bring the energy up when it can't be so perfectly aligned.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I'm so glad you gave us those examples, because that brings it more clear in my mind exactly how the whole process works. Um, Now, in this, well, I guess that's kind of like the introduction, and then I would imagine later on she'll talk about, using accessories like mirrors or placement around windows,
Yes.
that kind of thing.
Yes.
Would that, I'm trying to picture, is that kind of like the advanced feng shui, or it's just kind of like a corollary to the main principles?
Oh, they're all intertwined quite a bit. And I think I said this last week, but we didn't record it. The one thing I advise people when they get this book is amazing, but I did exactly what I'm going to tell everybody not to do, and that is to jump to the section you're most interested in, because feng shui in itself is super overwhelming. There is so much, and there are so many layers. As I said, there's all these cures, and there's different mantras, and you start feeling like, holy moly, how am I not like a walking person that needs to be exercised, with all my bad energy. I really think it's important to start from the beginning and kind of just go through everything, and then it makes so much more sense, and it's a lot less overwhelming. And yeah, that way, even if you just do the most simplest things from the beginning of the book, you're already going to be 12 steps ahead of most people.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, okay. I think we covered quite a lot of good material this morning, Brooke.
Sorry.
No, it's great. So why don't we end our session here, and then we'll continue on next week and go a little further on into what we should do next, perhaps, or maybe what you've done next, since you've just recently moved into a new space. So it might be helpful to show how you've used these principles and what maybe is your next step, for example. And then maybe I will be encouraged to try it on my space. But I don't know. It's almost overwhelming at times, thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to make some big changes here.
I was forced into the changes.
Yeah, you kind of had. Yeah, that's right. By moving somewhere, you almost say, well, now I have no choice. I've got to make some good decisions here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so once again, a great session with you, Brooke.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to coming back together 11:30 on Sunday, next Sunday. And I hope everybody has a good week, and hope I'm sure everybody that's watching along, even if they don't have that book, they're going to get a pretty clear idea of what this is about. So
I hope so.
Getting that book myself so I can see a little more detail about it. All right, so we'll see you next time, Brooke.
Bye. Thanks.